I, 26M, work as a junior structural engineer. For years, I was the reliable one in my family. I'm the guy who fixes the Wi-Fi at my parents' place, handles my aunt's car repairs, and has bailed my younger brother, 22M, out of rent emergencies more times than I can count. I've spent the last 3 years living in my late grandfather's house, working 60-hour weeks to maintain it, and paying every cent of the property taxes and insurance. I owned 60% of the house per the will, while my father and brother held the remaining 40% through a family LLC. My goal was always to buy them out and keep the house in the family. Everything changed 2 days ago. My aunt accidentally sent me a video file. It had no caption, and I assumed it was a clip from a family party I'd missed. When I hit play, I realized she had propped her phone up in my mother's kitchen, recording a family strategy meeting. The audio was crystal clear. My brother was laughing, calling me a pathetic failure and a hermit who was just a placeholder for the house. My father agreed, saying I had no ambition and was hoarding money like a rat. Then my mother dropped the bombshell. They were planning to wait for the spring market peak to trigger a family hardship clause in the trust to force a partition sale. They wanted to kick me out and use the equity to fund my brother's lifestyle app startup. My aunt actually giggled and said I was too stupidly loyal to ever suspect them. I didn't explode.
I didn't even cry.
I just felt this cold, heavy stillness. I downloaded the video to 3 different cloud drives and called my lawyer, who happened to be my grandfather's best friend. He was horrified. He told me that since I was the one paying for all the waste and maintenance, the roof, the HVAC, the taxes, I actually had the legal upper hand if I moved fast. The next morning, the acting started. My mother called me with this fake, sugary voice asking me to take out a $15,000 personal loan to help my brother get office space. I just told her I'd think about it and hung up. A few days later, my father and brother showed up at the house. They didn't even knock. They used their emergency key. My father tossed his coat over a chair and told me they were listing the house next week. My brother leaned against the wall and told me I needed to be out by the 1st of next month. They said they were doing it for my own good, to force me to grow up. I told them I wasn't signing a listing agreement. My father's face turned purple. He told me I didn't have a choice and that they'd force a partition suit, dragging it out until my legal fees ate up my entire share. That's when I turned my laptop around and played the video of them calling me a failure and plotting to defraud me. The room went dead silent. I told them the video was already entered into court records as evidence of bad faith. I gave them a choice: sign over their 40% share to me at the 2022 valuation, which was much lower than the current market, or I'd take them to trial and call the IRS about the business expenses my brother had been illegally running through their LLC. They stormed out, but the dirty tricks began immediately. My mother called me 30 times, eventually claiming my father was having chest pains because of the stress I was causing. I knew it was a lie, especially when she showed up at my door with a suitcase claiming he'd kicked her out. I didn't even open the screen door. I told her I'd seen the Ring camera footage of Dad kissing her goodbye and loading the car. I threatened to call the cops for trespassing, and her crying stopped instantly. She called me a failure of a human being and left. Then they tried to sabotage my job. My brother showed up at my engineering firm, screaming in the lobby that I was a thief. My boss, who had already seen the video because I'd warned him, threatened to have him trespassed and told him I was the best engineer they'd hired in years. The final straw was an email from my father. He told me they'd sign the deed, but they wanted $250,000 cash by Friday or they'd burn the house down, with 5 years of litigation. My lawyer loved that email because, in our state, that's straight-up extortion. We met at the lawyer's office on Friday. The atmosphere was radioactive. My lawyer presented them with a settlement offer that was basically a slap in the face. I offer them the 2022 price minus every single repair bill, tax payment, and legal fee I'd incurred. The total was only $85,000. They had no choice. If they went to court, the extortion email and the video would become public, destroying my father's real estate reputation and likely landing my brother in a fraud investigation over his business. My father signed the deed so hard he tore the paper. He threw the pen at me and told me I no longer had a family. I just slid the check across the table and told him I hadn't had a family since the day they recorded that video. The house is 100% mine now. I've changed the locks and blocked everyone. I heard through the grapevine that my brother had to sell his car to pay off some unregulated loans he took out, and my parents are moving into a tiny condo because they can't afford their lifestyle without my grandfather's equity. It's bittersweet, but as an engineer, I know you can't build anything on a rotten foundation. I'm just glad I finally tore it down. If you want to see more stories of pathetic failures actually knowing how to read a contract, hit that subscribe button before my family tries to accidentally record another meeting.